everybody, it's Cecily and it's This Week in Rideshare News. Would you drive for Uber if you could set your own fares? Well, Uber is testing a pilot program in 3 California airports where drivers can set their own base rates. But here's the peculiar part. Drivers will charge their own fares, Uber will charge the riders, but only in multiples of 1 to 5 in increments of 0.1. I have no clue what that means. So since AB5 went into effect, Uber is responding with a number of changes like this to show that drivers are contractors and not employees. In addition, some people feel like this new system could cause drivers to undercut one another and possibly change public opinion about AB5. Fina DeBall, an associate professor at University of California, Hastings, says that allowing drivers to set their own rates is a way to make people feel like they're independent contractors because they ultimately these companies are putting this into ballot box measures. So if a driver seems like they're more independent, they may vote in Uber's favor, she says. It's a way to sway public opinion. I'm taken aback by all this. So drivers in Santa Barbara, Palm Springs, and Sacramento will be allowed to do this next week. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think that drivers will start to undercut one another for fear that they won't be able to get rides? From what I understand, the algorithm will pair up drivers and riders that are looking to have this transaction at a certain price point. I do honestly feel like drivers are going to undercut one another, especially if you feel like you're not getting rides because you're charging too high. I think it's potential for disaster. So that's why if everybody comes together on this and, kind of set a standard on what folks think we should be charging, then it actually could be a win. But everybody has to be unified on that. And I'm just really interested to see if people will come together. Folks in Santa Barbara, Sacramento, and Palm Springs, you guys will be the first. My suggestion would be for y'all to come together and figure out what it is you guys are going to charge. Because you guys pretty much are going to set the tone for the rest of us. If you haven't heard about this, I've left a link in the description. Please let me know what your thoughts are. Both Uber and Lyft are being criticized after prices surged in a shooting in Seattle yesterday. Moments after the shooting, several people were seen fleeing the area and said that their surge spiked nearly 3 to 4 times the normal rate. Several people took to Twitter to share how inflated the prices were. The shooting took place around 5 p.m. in downtown Seattle. 1 person was killed and 7 others were injured in the shooting. 1 person has been detained in connection to the shooting and 2 more are still at large. Both Uber and Lyft have issued apologies and explained that the surges were automatic and based off of supply and demand. I know they begin to refund passengers, but I'm curious if any drivers that were driving in that area will be affected by this. If you picked up any packs fleeing downtown, please let us know if your earnings were affected. Bernie Sanders posted a tweet the other day, "Have you ever avoided taking an ambulance that you couldn't afford?" And surprisingly, many of the people in his feed said that they could not afford an ambulance, but would opt for rideshare instead. As this meme suggests, many would rather pay $10 for a ride than $3,000 on emergency services. Bernie Sanders posted a tweet the other day asking, "Have you ever avoided taking an ambulance because you could not afford it?" And surprisingly, many people said that they couldn't afford an ambulance ride, but that they would opt for rideshare instead. Now, as this meme suggests, many folks would rather pay $10 for a ride than $3,000 on emergency services. In 2018, an article highlighted how several rideshare drivers were reluctant to pick up passengers needing these kinds of services. I saw that a woman was on Twitter today. She was praising her driver because he picked up her father. The man had a seizure and he bit a part of his cheek off or whatever, but she was complaining about all the blood in the car and said that the driver was really calm, like he had seen this sort of thing before. And my thoughts are like, is this where we're going with this? So like last month, I reported a story about how these companies are offering non-emergency transport for patients. And I'm seeing an overwhelming amount of drivers complaining about encounters with these patients. For instance, this guy said that he was picking up a passenger, and the man had urinated all over himself. He said, lucky for him, he had seat covers to protect his car. But, you know, like, I'm sure he didn't pick up a passenger right after that. I've seen a lot of people complain about drivers turning away disabled citizens and or people being refused rides because of their wheelchairs, service dogs, and other types of discrimination. And I don't think it's a driver versus passenger issue. Clearly, I feel like there needs to be something in place, but I don't think that that's what most drivers have signed up for. I think it's time that our local governments and rideshare weigh in on the topic to protect drivers from these situations. They shouldn't be providing services that they're not trained for or not equipped to handle. All right. That's it for us this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not subscribed to Harry's channel, please do so. There's so many contributors here, lots of different voices and tips and people who are offering information just for you. You can follow me on this channel. We also have our own playlist as well. So if you're here for Cecily, please subscribe to my playlist. Yes, I'm hating on everybody on this channel. And that's fact. Anyway, you can also follow me on my own channel. And my name is Cecily, it's Drive Girl Drive. You can hit me up on YouTube and on Facebook if you want to talk to me directly. That's the best way for you to contact me. And I'm here every Saturday, 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you have any news, tips, or anything like that, please send it to me on Facebook. Would love to hear from you. Have a great weekend. Bye.